Hello, hello, welcome to my garden. Okay, this is not in my garden, this is outside my garden. See a beautiful rose here. I just adore this variety. This is Constance Spry, a climber rose from David Austin Roses in England. I'm sure you know David Austin. He was a world famous rose breeder, born in 1926 and passed away in 2018. David Austin had made the most beautiful roses with amazing fragrance, and the first rose he was introducing in 1961 was this rose, Constance Spry. David Austin was a great admirer of the old antique roses. You know, for example, the Gallica roses, Damasceno roses and Alba roses. And he just loved them because they were having the most amazing fragrance, and also very often the flowers were double. David Austin were very keen because he would like to try to cross the old roses, which is normally just flowering one time, with the modern roses, so you could get doubled roses with fragrance and repeat flowering. In 61 he was ready to introduce this beautiful rose, Constance Spry, and people were just amazed. The most well-formed flowers with an amazing fragrance. But there was a little problem, and it was that this rose was just flowering one time per season. But in the years after, he was introducing so many beautiful roses. He called them the English roses, and they were repeat flowering. But I doesn't care that this beauty is just flowering one time. For me, it's still worth to grow, and I know that so many people just love this rose. But who was Constance Spry? She was born in 1886, passed away in 1960, and she was such a great florist. If you haven't seen her work, I think you should try to Google her. She was also a great chef. She was cooking and also making gardens. And I'm sure that she would have been very proud to have a rose like this. And as I've told you, it was introduced a year after she passed away. Here I have one more beautiful rose, and this is Aloha. And Aloha was introduced in 1949. It was a French breeder, and he was called Papa Floribunda. And this is also a very, very charming rose. And the good thing with this rose is that this rose is repeat flowering, and it also has a great fragrance. This is also an amazing rose and quite well known. This is Alchymist. And Alchymist was introduced in 1956 in Germany by the German breeder Cordes. And the amazing thing with this rose is that it's changing. You have apricot and you have soft pink, and also I think that the form is just amazing. But I also need to say that Alchymist is also just flowering one time per season, but it doesn't matter for me, and I think that the form and also the fragrance is out of this world. So I just love Alchymist, and I can also tell you that it's the first one to flower here in the garden. I would also like to show you some yellow roses. This is a rose from the States, and this rose was also introduced in 1956. I love this rose because it has this soft colored yellow, almost single flowers, and this rose is also repeat flowering, and it's also a great match to, for example, the plant boxes I have here, where I'm also using yellow or chartreuse. The last rose I will show you is the Pilgrim. And the Pilgrim, it's also a rose from David Austin. And this is a repeat flowering rose, and with such a great form, such an amazing fragrance, almost citrus, and I also just love the color. As you can see, the Pilgrim is not a tall climber. Last year it was about 2.5 meters, but we have pruned it quite hard this spring. And you can also grow it as a shrub, as a bush in the border, but it's also a great little climber. I just adore this flower. The colors fit so great together with many of my container plantings. This was some of my climbing roses I have shown you here. Maybe it could inspire you, then I will be very pleased. Thank you so much for watching. Goodbye, goodbye.